Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Korsha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled AND, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first coincidence miracle today happened while I was out evangelizing, and it's a part of what I shared with you last week. Last week I was sharing several cases of where I was out evangelizing at a park or a beach during the summertime, and I shared with you some of the things that were happening. So this is one of those same things. I was at a beach evangelizing and passing out the cards, and people ask a lot of questions. And so in one particular case, I handed out the card about our website and our book. And it was a couple. They weren't married yet. They were close friends, and they stressed for me that they weren't dating and they were just friends for some reason. So I looked at them as a male and female who just are friends for some reason. But they said to me, they both agreed, look, why don't you give us an example of a coincidence miracle? And so I got inspired, as I often do, right off the top of my head. I get inspirations because God knows what they need to hear. So I got inspired to tell them a story about one day I was confirmed something I was doing for God, and the way God confirmed for me that he was really talking to me was a license plate parked in front of me, and the license plate had the letter B 3 times, like B for Bob. So there were 3 of them, BBB, 3 B's in a row, all capital letters. There was something else on the plate, but it also had BBB at the beginning of it. And I told him how I saw that as, since B is the second letter of the alphabet, I saw it as 222. And then I told him that means, 3 2s means that you're going out 2 by 2. Either God is sending you on a mission with a partner, or if you're out on a mission without a partner, that when you see this clue, it means that God is with you on the mission. Well, that's what they needed to hear, because they asked me to share one case, and I shared that. And the reason I know that they needed to hear that is because the woman was captivated, and she went on and made both of us happy to listen to her. It turns out that she's been seeing the number 222 practically all of her life, and she says she sees that number when something great and wonderful is happening. And she said that, I just blew her mind by telling her what this means and that it's a holy number. She never gave it a thought that it was a holy number. And so now, for the rest of her life, when she sees this, and she's sure she's going to see it because she sees that number often, now she'll know that it's God trying to show her that he's with her, participating in whatever event she's working on at the time. Our next coincidence miracle is from a man who tells us that he was having a blah kind of day, dry, nothing exciting, those days where you wonder if what you're doing really matters. And he said, but at the end of the day, as he was getting off the highway coming home from work, he noticed that a car passed him as he was getting off the highway, and its license plate had 3 zeros on it, 000. And he knows from our book that that number signifies, connotes eternity or infinity, where God resides. It reminds us of God's infinite mercy and God's infinite intelligence and wisdom, etc. So everything to do with infinity or eternity is what the 3 zeros signifies. So it gave him a little bit of a jolt and a charge, and he felt it was at the end of his trip as he was getting off the highway. So it's kind of like a notice from God that God was with him. And a little thing like that can brighten up everybody's day, and I share it with you because it often brightens up my day as well. Our next coincidence miracle is something that happened to me as well while I was evangelizing one day at the beach, passing out the cards and telling people about God and inspirations in our books and our website. And I know you've heard this many times if you've been listening to our weekly shows. It was such a beautiful experience for me. I got to a group of young college people, and I was sharing, the card, and they asked about the website. They asked for examples of the miracles in my book, etc. So I gave them and told them several miracles. They were very interested. And when I thought I was all done and ready to go, one of the young people, a female, looks to me like maybe 20, 21 years old, she was very excited. She said, "Can I ask you a few questions?" And so we had a private discussion, just her and I, right there. The other people started talking about other things. But she related to me that after hearing me talk for about 10 minutes and answer everybody's questions, that I've just confirmed for her what she was thinking of choosing as a career. She told me that for several years she's been thinking, and she's about 21 years old at this point, but she'd been thinking about getting into church ministry, and be an evangelist or a teacher or a minister or in some fashion. And it's been on her heart and on her mind to do that. And she said that after hearing the last 10 minutes of answering the questions and the things, she got all excited about the joy of seeing the expression on her friends' faces and seeing the effect of people asking questions about God and getting clear answers that they could use, like, God does talk to us. You can and you should ask God for direction, and He does inspire us. And she heard our 3 famous words, inspire, idea, and intuition. And so she was all excited, and she wanted me to know that she felt that I was sent to this beach today precisely, and she never came to this beach before, so she felt this was a coincidence miracle for her because she needed something like this to confirm for her and convince her that she would be happy in the ministry. So I'm delighted to tell you that it helped her, and I think she's right. I think God had me go to that particular beach and answer particular questions, and that's how God works. That's how He reached out to her that way, and He told her to tell me, because that's my reward, is to hear that the things I'm doing is helping someone. And she was kind enough to tell me that this really did help her with her life choices and her career choice. Our next coincidence miracle also happened while I was out evangelizing some people, and one of the people said to me, how can I be sure that it's really God inspiring me? And what do you do to make sure it's not evil? How do you know when you're getting inspirations or voices that it's not the devil that's talking to you, or you're hallucinating? So that's a age-old question. We've had 10,000 saints. I'm sure all of them wondered about that in their lives. And I have personally met a lot of people who ask that question, because when you start talking to God, getting inspired by God, that question comes up right away. Is that the devil inspired me, or is the devil tricking me by putting thoughts into my mind? And I've been getting inspired by God for many years, and I've also had that concern too. So I did a lot of research on my own to make sure I have the answer. So I was able to help her by saying the following. Easy to remember. If you remember that you have to pay your income taxes on April 15th every year, that's 4/15. April 15th is the fourth month, 15th day. So if you remember, 4/15 is where you get this answer. It's in the book of Mark. Just remember to mark your calendar for taxes. Mark your calendar, April 15th, and just remind you to go to book of Mark. And in the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 15, Jesus says, he says, when, he doesn't say if, he doesn't say maybe, God says, when my word comes to you, the devil comes immediately to take it away. So God is telling us in the Bible, in the book of Mark 4:15, that when his word comes to you, you're going to get a lot of doubts, because right after God answers you, you're going to start wondering if it's the devil or not, and that's because the devil is tempting you. As he just said, when my word comes to you, the devil comes immediately to take it away. So you can expect that it's going to happen to you. And the good news is that God always answers his questions. When you ask God a question, he doesn't let somebody else answer it. He'll answer you, but you have to pay attention to the first answer. And then if you get confused after that, just ask more questions. And every time you ask God a question, look for the first answer, and that'll get you out of your confusion. Our next coincidence miracle is someone who tells us that they had to go and get some blood work, and they didn't set an appointment, but one day they were driving by the place where they would get their blood work done at Quest, and they just had inspired to just go in and see if they can take you now. So they walked in, and the first answer they got was no, but while they were there, a cancellation happened right on the spot, perfect timing, so they were able to get their blood done. And then they tell us after they were leaving, after they got their blood done, they bumped into a very close friend of theirs, one of their closest friends, that was in the same building, and they were able to tell them there was a funeral on the next day of a mutual friend. So if they didn't get out of their car and go in for the blood work, they would have never known about their other close friend had passed away. So that's certainly a double coincidence miracle. They got their blood work done and also heard that. Our next coincidence miracle is from a person who was feeling not very contributory toward positive things in life. They were having a couple of weeks of dryness and nothing great happening in their life. And before they went to bed on this particular night, they were critiquing their day, and they tell us they got inspired by God. God showed them that they had done many, many things where they complimented people, and God was inspiring them that, when you compliment people, you give them hope, you give them positivity, you make them have a brighter day. Everybody's got problems, and so just keep doing what you're doing. Keep complimenting people. The sound of their voice is pleasant. The twinkle in their eye is pleasant. Tell them you like their dress. Tell them you like their hairdo. Tell them you really appreciate what they just said to you. And keep doing that, because you make the world a better place. As you know, we don't care what religion you are and if you have a religion or not. This program just talks about miracles. I say that because I want to tell you about a wonderful miracle that I have experienced. I got a message sent to me by a friend from a Protestant minister in Rhode Island named Cal.Lord. That's spelled C-A-L.Lord, Cal.Lord. And his message that week was about the red phone, the hotline that's supposed to be in the president's office and Russian government's office, a red phone. You pick up the red phone and it's connected immediately. And he said, this is how we talk to God. We always have a red hotline always available. You can always pick up the red phone and talk to God directly and immediately. Our next coincidence miracle is from a young lady who was making her confirmation, and she tells us that on the morning of her confirmation, she was getting dressed, fixing her hair, and she noticed a dove, which is the sign of the Holy Spirit. A dove landed on her windowsill outside of her bedroom, and she was really excited about that. It was her confirmation morning. She was going to make her confirmation. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.